That was lovely. Can you hear me? Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Lynchburg. Here we gather in the spirit of freedom and friendship, whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, and whomever you are, whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge that with humility, our buildings sit on land originally part of the Monacan Nation. My name is Steph Nikovich. If you are with us for the first time, we are glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service for this church community we love. We would be happy to tell you about our community during virtual social time following the service. If you would like to receive a monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out the virtual visitor card found on the website or send your contact information, name, email, phone number to office@uulynchburg.org. You may also wish to join our Facebook group. Please note that the order of service is in the chat to the right of your screen.
Thank you so much, Steph. As far as announcements this morning, we'll have no childcare available today because we have a wonderful multi-generational service in the works. So all families will attend together in the sanctuary. Are there any other announcements that anyone else would like to make at this time? Feel free to speak if you have any announcements. All right, well, this morning, Zana Martin will speak the words to help us light our chalice while Steph lights our chalice. Zana?
Okay. May the lights we now kindle inspire us to use our power to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life.
Thank you so much. And now Theo is going to share our opening words this morning from Barbara Peskin for the Beauty of the Earth. Theo?
The beauty of the earth, this spinning blue-green ball. Yes, Gaia, mother of everything. We walk gently across your back to come together again in this place, to remember how we can lie, remember who we are, to create how we will be. Gaia, our home, the lap in which we live. Welcome us. By Barbara Peskin.
Thank you so much, Theo. And now may we all join together in body and spirit for hymn number 91, Mother of All.
and my sage. Your praise is high and soared. Goddess of nurture and of love, all nature sings your prayer. In life's extravagance you prove the gift of giving fair. O Spirit of unfolding grace and deepest mystery, teach us compassion's gentle face and wisdom's mastery. Teach us to cherish this proud earth, its fragile beauty praise, and for the dreams your joy gives birth, a hopeful future raise.
The ministries of our church are supported by the love, talent, and efforts of our many volunteers and staff, as well as the monetary support to our members and friends. If you have found this church to be of value in your life, then I invite you to use the donate button found at uulynchburg.org. Just click the button to give generously through any credit card or directly from your bank. We receive these monetary gifts along with the gifts of your time, work, and creativity, which also sustain our church. As together we give generously, support our congregation, let us also commit ourselves to a unity of spirit to make manifest a more peace, justful, and loving world.
At this time, we have a spoken meditation that will be shared with us by Zoe Kendrick. Zoe?
I am the earth, and the earth is me, each blade of grass, each honey tree, each bit of mud, each stick and stone, each blood and muscle, each skin and bone. And just as I need every bit of me to make my body fit, so earth needs grass and stone and tree, and things that grow here naturally. That's why we celebrate this day. That's why across the world we say, as long as life, as dear as free, I am the earth and the earth is me. Jane Yolen.
Thank you so much, Zoe. That was beautifully spoken from the wonderful Jane Yolen. And now some music to meditate by. Thank you, Emily, so much for that beautiful piece. Prelude number 4, Wistful by the wonderful Florence Price. Thank you. And now I have a special story to share with you all this morning. I found this story recently and really got excited about it because I think it really speaks to our service today in a lot of ways. And it's called The Tantrum That Saved the World by Megan Herbert and Michael E. Mann. Sophia was minding her business one day when, quite without warning, a bear came to stay. The ice that he lived on had ceased to exist. He hoped that Sophia would kindly assist. Ding dong. Imagine that. Startled and flustered, Sophia said, "No," but the bear came right in. He had nowhere to go. More out-of-towners arrived needing aid, asking if it was all right that they stayed. Somehow the seas have flooded our land. The kids ran right in. They were quite out of hand. Sophia attempted to turn them away. "We've got nowhere else," was all they could say. Surprising arrivals showed up all day long. Ding dong. Ding dong. Sophia's doorbell was ringing a lot. A sad swarm of bees had not one idea if spring had just come or fall was quite near. A pale pink flamingo, hungry and weak, bugged a sea turtle whose outlook was bleak. Both were upset that the sights of their nests were being disrupted by unwanted guests. Farmers whose farmland was withered and dry griped with the seaman who couldn't get by. Where had the fish gone? Where was the rain? They wanted to work more, not sit and complain. A large Bengal tiger just chuffed with dismay, and everyone wisely stayed out of his way. They all turned to face her with hope in their eyes, expecting Sophia to halt their demise. "I'm just a kid. What can I do?" said Sophia. "Well, someone must help us, and it's now up to you." Sophia by this time felt nothing but stress. Her day was disrupted. Her house was a mess. She had no idea how she ought to begin to help them all sort out the bind they were in. Unable to put up a front anymore, she went to her bedroom and slammed shut the door. Hiding and fretting, she couldn't think why. These folks were resolved to gray up her blue sky. She wanted to scream and to act uncontrolled, but tantrums were pointless. That's what she's been told. Still, it wasn't Sophia's fault they were in strife. She'd tell them politely to get out of her life. But what she saw next brought Sophia up short. They weren't here to spite her. They needed support. All of a sudden, the girl understood. Goodwill costs nothing and does nothing but good. Now that she'd realized compassion was key, Sophia would call on the powers that be. Let's go, said Sophia. Next stop, City Hall. The grown-ups would sort this mess once and for all. I need an appointment regarding this fauna. We've noticed our planet's becoming a sauna. So bring us the top dog, the biggest big cheese, to solve all our problems and put us at ease. They said, take a number and wait, if you please. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited. Sophia attempted to move things along. The fact we've been waiting so long is quite wrong. This tiger's hungrier by the minute. This pink flamingo's reached her limit. This polar bear is far too warm, and these bees can hardly form a swarm. Someone must help them. Why not you? We see you're upset, but we've got things to do. Sophia felt beaten and quite disrespected. She never imagined that she'd be rejected. Again, she felt feelings of rage multiply, but she squashed them back down and started to cry. Her friends, also glum, gathered round in support. They all shared their stories to make the wait short. Sophia soon saw how each tale was connected, that everyone loses when one part's neglected. How would she feel if her land were depleted? Her food disappeared, her home overheated. And what was to say that she wouldn't be next? She'd already noticed weird weather effects. How could their leaders command them to wait? If they dilly-dallied, would it be too late? Sophia thought deeply and then made her choice. She had to give those who'd been silenced a voice. Sophia stepped forward, ignoring the line. She spelled out the science and held up her sign. When someone else suffers, the whole world's affected. The earth is our home and we have to protect it. Despite her sound logic, she still was deflected. Your sentiment's sweet, kid, but what you don't get is fixing these problems will put us in debt. We've done all we can. You don't understand. You're too long to grasp all the issues at hand. If you've got something that you still need to say, send in a form and we'll file it away. Pushed to the limit, Sophia saw red. She felt disregarded and mocked and misled. She did understand what this was about. It was her future they planned to sell out. Sophia's strong feelings smoldered once more, and this time they'd gotten too big to ignore. Raging with purpose, her banner unfurled, she kicked off a tantrum to save the whole world. It rumbled down streets into towns of all lands. It echoed in forests, on glaciers and sands. People and creatures alike felt its force. They ditched their distractions and looked for the source. There were Sophia and friends holding court, telling the people to lend their support. Cooperative action could turn this high tide. They had strength in numbers and right on their side. Step one was to stop using oil, gas, and coal. Step two was to educate every last soul on practical things they could do every day to have an effect in a positive way. Recycle, reduce, reuse. They told their officials inside City Hall to pass laws with foresight to better them all. They all told more people who told more folks still. They won hearts with kindness and minds with goodwill. And so on until everyone was doing the hard work that had to be done. Sophia's new friends soon waved her goodbye. They'd made second chances. They had new homes to try. They asked her to visit for a weekend or two. But Sophia was busy. She had things to do. Ding dong. The end. So we can imagine that Sophia was off to a great start making changes in the world. And she sounds a little bit like some other folks, young folks that we've heard of in the news, not too so long ago. And now we're going to have Zana and Theo share some ideas about carbon footprints. What are they? Let's find out.
You leave footprints when you walk in the sand, in the mud, and when you got wet feet. You also leave something called a carbon footprint. You can't see your carbon footprint, but it makes an impact on our Earth in much the same way that your footprints mark the sand or mud. When you use fossil fuels, like heating oil to keep your house warm or gasoline for your family's car, these things create carbon dioxide, also called CO2. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. Scientists believe that greenhouse gases are making the Earth too warm. Your carbon footprint is the total amount of CO2 you create. A big carbon footprint is bad for the planet.
Every time you use energy that comes from fossil fuels, you create CO2 and make your carbon footprint bigger. Think of CO2 as energy waste. It's what's left over after you use fossil fuels. You create carbon dioxide every day. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, which is part of the government that makes sure our environment is cared for, the electricity you use in your home creates the biggest part of your carbon footprint. Although electricity doesn't make greenhouse gases when you use it, the power plants that make the electricity do. Power plants that use coal for keeping warm in the winter is the second biggest source of CO2, and it adds to your carbon footprint. Your house probably uses fossil fuels like oil, natural gas, or electricity to keep you warm. The amount of CO2 your house makes depends on the type of fuel you use and how high you set your thermostat. You can also add to your carbon footprint when you run the air conditioner to stay cool in the summertime. So you can see how important it is not to waste electricity or run heat and air sources too much in your homes. When your family uses your car, it adds to your family's carbon footprint. That's because a car uses gasoline to run, and it produces CO2 as waste. Buses, trains, and planes also produce CO2. Your trash makes a lot of CO2. These are just a few of the ways our carbon footprint can affect our Earth home. How can we make it smaller?
The best way to make your carbon footprint smaller is to use less electricity and less fossil fuels. Be sure to turn off your computer, television, and lights when you're not using them. Lower the temperature in your house during the winter and raise it in the summer. Walk and bike whenever you can instead of using the car or bus. Reduce the amount of trash you create by recycling and reusing items. There are other ways too, like buying local fruits and vegetables. This reduces the need for trucks to transport these foods. Another way is to eat less meat and dairy, and even to make the choice of not to eat meat or dairy too. Animal agriculture is another big producer of CO2. It's important to pay attention to what kind of impact our carbon footprints are making. Now more than ever, as climate change is an increasing and serious problem for our planet. So let's not only pay attention, but take action, making good decisions and choices for each and every day.
Thank you so much, Zana and Theo, for sharing that information about what are carbon footprints. So at this time, we're going to have some sharing of, can everybody hear me okay? I think I just kind of zipped out for a minute. Thank you. So at this time, we're going to actually take a look and share some of the footprints that we've been working on to show some of the ways that we can lessen our carbon footprints. Now, for those of you who are in the sanctuary, we'll have you come up to the green carpet, to the microphone, and Lori Schultze will help you to be able to speak into the microphone to share your pictures. And on Zoom, I'll do the same. So we'll start out on Zoom, and I'll go ahead and call on those of you who would like to share their footprints that they've been working on. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to share those? Okay, I see Zana and the Russ Martin family. What have you got to
Okay.
share?
So I have my carbon footprint. Can't see it very well, but recycling. I have the farmers market. Reduce electricity. Can't really see the electricity because it's in yellow. Windmill. I have a solar panel up at the top and have less trash.
Excellent, wonderful, Zana. Who else would like to share?
You can see it from here in the sanctuary, so thank you for sharing the picture.
Yeah. Theo, did you have one? Or Abe, did you all have one? Go ahead.
Okay, you can't really see it, but I wrote a bunch of stuff about ways we can reduce our carbon footprint.
Awesome.
Mine is right there. It's like a painted glass to represent church. Right there's a solar panel. I did make a sun, but it's kind of in this light you can't see it. Down here is also to represent church. It's supposed to be like some people. Some of them I kind of made an accident and made them a bit big, tall.
Explain why you chose to put church on your thing for reducing your carbon footprint.
I chose church because church teaches children like me for when they grow up that to help like all life, and to help me when I grow up to help kids like me in this community.
Oh, that's beautiful, AB. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is beautiful. Zoe, I think you've got a hand up that you'd like to share your footprint.
I don't know if I was supposed to cut them out or not, but I didn't.
It's okay. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. Let's see.
Um,
Mhm.
Do you want me to read what it says?
Sure. What would you like to say about your footprints?
Well, it says like what we can do to help.
Awesome.
We can make more trees. We can pick up trash. We can be vegetarians. We can help the
Oh, and we can have, what does it say on the bottom? I love that. What does it say? We can help? Is that right?
Say we can help the earth, but I didn't have one.
That's okay. And I love the colors and the rainbow colors that you chose to color your footprints with, Zoe. That is really special. So is there anyone else on Zoom? I think that I don't see anybody else on Zoom. So how about in the sanctuary? Do we have some folks in the sanctuary who would like to share their footprints?
Come on up if you want to share, and we can talk right here in the mic, and your friends on Zoom can hear you. So isn't that fun? Oh, Renee, you want to hold it and talk about it? You can talk about what you drew.
Yeah.
You can show it to the friends on Zoom.
This is my
Talk right in here so everyone can hear.
This is my picture about all my little guys, and they're telling everybody what they should do on these little
Oh,
boxes.
so you made your footprints into little people
Yeah.
or little guys. And you have so much detail in here and lots of, you picked all of these great things you can do.
I like stickers.
I love it.
That is so cool.
What do you have there? Oh, wow. So you did your coloring of the footprints too. And do you think of anything you can do to save energy? You can use your human energy, right? You can do all your walking, right? You use your legs and all your muscles. You can be your own transportation. And I love what you did here. You colored your Earth Day poster. Very nice. How'd you learn how to color like that at your age? You have a lot of people that color in your house? You share crayons?
He's actually very smart for his age.
He
He knows,
is.
he knows lots of math.
You know a lot of math. I love math. You want to come on up,
Yes.
Nora?
Mine is about if you like if you don't use as much bottled water and eat less junk food and stuff, it helps the animals. So I draw a yellow bat.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Very nice. That's a good point. So if we don't drink so much bottled water, we help. Hmm? Yeah. You want to show yours? Let's see. Oh, you did two little guys for your footprints too. It says to grow your own food if you can, right? Save water, eat more veggies, and no bottled water. That's a big one on my list. I try not to do bottled water whenever possible. And it's much more possible than we realize, right? Yeah. Oh, community garden. That's a great idea. Well, thank you. Is there anybody else? Riley, do you want to come up, or Nora? You want to share anything about what you're learning? You know, one thing I learned is when I'm brushing my teeth to shut the water off. And it's such a simple thing, but almost every day I remind myself, shut the water off while I'm brushing my teeth.
That's a good one, Lori.
I run my dishwasher at night. That's supposed to help. And I'm always on top of that thermostat. But I've got a lot more work to do. Does anybody else have any ideas they want to share about carbon footprint?
Sounds like some great ideas out there. Lots of people have some great ideas about how they can lessen the effects of their carbon footprints. I really enjoyed hearing all of them. And at this point, we're going to kind of do a little bit of a question and answer time. And this is a time to hear from you guys. I'm going to ask a few questions. And if you feel like you'd like to share your thoughts on it, please be sure to answer. And if I see you on Zoom, you can go ahead and speak on Zoom. And if you are in the sanctuary and would like to come up and use the microphone with Lori, you can feel free to do that. The first question I have is, why is it so important to be aware of carbon footprints when it comes to climate change? So we just talked a lot about what types of effects our carbon footprints might have on the earth, but I'm just wondering, why do you think it's so important right now, especially with climate change? Does anyone have any thoughts they'd like to share about that?
I think it's a good idea because I think it's a good idea for us to talk about carbon footprints because that makes it easier to teach other people about them as well. Instead of just having them be like an abstract idea, we can make it more easily understood.
That's exactly it. Exactly it, Theo. That's awesome. Anybody else?
It helps the environment.
It helps.
Absolutely.
Those hurt the environment, but if you don't do the things as much, then it helps the environment.
Exactly. That's awesome. Is that Nora? I can't, with the mask on, I'm just making sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and the next question is, what are some of the ways that you plan to make different choices from what you do now to make your footprint smaller? What are some of the choices that you are thinking about making right now? Maybe you hadn't thought about it before, but right now you're thinking about. Anybody got any thoughts that they want to share? I know I love what Lori said about being careful about how long you let the water run when you're brushing your teeth or running your dishwasher at a certain time. And of course, cutting back our thermostats and being mindful of how much electricity we use. Those are all good ones. Larry Simons.
We're exploring the idea of green burial.
Oh, yes. That is a very amazing topic that I think needs to be looked at by every single person if they're able to do that. That's awesome.
Can you repeat that for us?
Yes.
Yeah, we're exploring the idea of green burial to be all the other forms of burial are very wasteful.
You know, I have heard a lot about that. It's quite fascinating.
Mhm.
Green burial. If you don't know about that, look into it. It's
Yeah,
very,
there's very, very few places in Virginia you can do that. And the problem is if you have to have your body transported 2 hours, that lessens the impact or increases the impact of damage on the climate by pollution. So if we had more places that we could do it, you can even do it on private property as long as you certify that it's there, so that the records would show that there's human remains.
that's really,
That
that's a
is
good point. It's something for all of us to look into.
definitely, definitely. Well, an activist is someone who works to bring about change. This can be like standing up for those whose voices aren't really usually heard. Can you name someone that you admire who is an activist for the earth? This person could be a caretaker in a way, someone who cares for and takes action to help make sure more people do what is necessary to keep our earth healthy and well. One person I could think about was from our story that we just heard, Sophia. Even though she's a character in a story, I think she represents a lot of young people who are speaking up and standing up and taking action. Another one is Greta Thunberg, who is someone we have heard about a lot in the news. But can you think of someone? It can be someone in your family or someone in your community, or just somebody that you can think of who's been sort of inspiring to you as an activist for the earth. Makana.
Katrina. So I wanted to say Cynthia Coles, who helped bring the Veggie Spot, which is the community garden over on Daniels Hill. She helped bring that into existence. And it's a wonderful place where vegetables are grown for the people in the neighborhood and the people who are in that area. So she's a climate hero to me. And actually she'll come and be speaking at the church, I think, a little bit in June about the program. So yeah, so Cynthia is one of my heroes.
Well, she's one of mine too, because I had the privilege to be able to work with her as well, Makana, that she's a perfect person to lift up.
That's a big thing.
Any other thoughts on?
Anything? Anyone that inspires them to make good choices for the environment? I just heard our president, he was advocating and passed some did an executive order to help with restoring the forests that were burned down. I heard that just this week. And there was something interesting. They were talking about cement, how it causes 8% of the carbon gases, and that they were going to do a different process to bake in the CO2 that is let out when they make cement, and so that the cement will actually hold the CO2. And I was inspired by that because as an adult, I get frustrated that things aren't moving faster. And when I see a little progress, from the government, then I feel a little more like maybe we're going to make big changes and all the little things we're doing are going to help.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lori. Absolutely. So my last question really is a question you don't have to answer out loud if you don't want to, but it's a question you might just hold in your heart and think about. Could you be an activist or a caretaker for Mother Earth? Could you do that? I know that each of you can, because I've heard all of you mention some wonderful ways that you would lessen your carbon footprint. So I have a feeling we've got some young activists in our midst here. So we know that each of us are striving to make better decisions and take wise action to be better caretakers of our Earth planet. But we also know that big companies and organizations have to do better too. And we have to hold them accountable as well. And that's not always easy to do, is it? But we still have to take that stand. So at this time, I'd like to share some special music with you guys. This is from some friends of mine, the Brown Mountain Lightning Bugs. It's called Reduce, Recycle, Reuse.
world should have known. The world should have known. The world should have known nearly all along that we were only built to last until the day that we're gone. And I don't see a lot of we just live for me. The country should have known. The country should have known. The country should have known nearly all along that just like every empire they would rise and fall. And I don't see a lot of we just live for me. But don't you ever call it a shame. Dying's just part of the living man's game. Reduce, reuse, recycle is what they say. But it's been going on long before today. The family should have known. The family should have known. The family should have known nearly all along that their loves would one day leave and they'd be left alone. And I don't see a lot of we just live for me. I should have known. I should have known. I should have known nearly all along that every note I sing could be the final one. And I don't see a lot of we just live for me. Don't you ever call it a shame.
thank you to the Round Mountain Lightning Bugs. And now we've come to the point in our service where we will extinguish our chalice with the help of Steph in the sanctuary, and Zana will speak the words.
As our service draws to a close, we extinguish the flame of our chalice as we say these words together. We
Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you. And now let us join together with hymn number 301, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores while spirits fly, over the ocean, over the land, our faithful quest to understand. Touch the earth, reach the sky, children ask the reasons why. In our lives the answers show, and by our love we learn and grow. Touch the earth, reach the sky, all are born and all shall die. Life's the time left in between, to follow a star, to build a dream. Touch the earth, reach the sky, hug the laughter, feel the cry. May we see where we can live, for this is what it means to live. Touch the earth, reach the sky, soar with courage ever fly. Spirits joining as we fly, to touch the earth, to reach the sky.
And now our benediction this morning will be spoken and shared with us by the Rust Martin family.
This we know.
The earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth.
This we know.
All things are connected, like the blood which unites one family.
All things are connected.
Whatever befalls the earth
befalls the sons and daughters of the earth.
We have not weaved the web of life.
We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do, the web.
Whatever we do to the web,
We do to ourselves.
Attributed.
To Noah self.
Yeah.
Say it, girl.
To Chief Noah Self.
Thank you so much. Thank Thank you so much, Emily, for all of the beautiful music this morning and so well chosen as always.